I am very excited to welcome Christian Ott back to the show. We're talking about what's next for crypto in 2024. The last time we talked was in the depths of the bear market, and the market has massively rebounded. And a lot of the thesis we talked about were actually playing out in terms of price action. And so, what is next, Christian? What are you thinking for 2024? What are some of the big themes that you're looking at?
Hey, Eliot, happy to be back.
Yeah.
The big theme I'm looking at is the Bitcoin ETF. I think that's probably the dominant topic right now. Everybody's looking at that. We are potentially like 2 weeks away from an approval in the US. And yeah, I think the spot Bitcoin ETF is really something that we have been talking about in this industry for like the last 6 years, probably. And I think it has been it's not the first exchange traded product of Bitcoin, because we had the CME futures launch back in 2017, which was like one of the first traditional finance products, exchange traded products. But the thing with the CME futures ETF or ETP actually was that you could only long or short Bitcoin, but they didn't have to buy Bitcoin to make you trade it on their exchange. You're basically trading paper Bitcoin there. And the exciting thing about the spot Bitcoin ETF is that all these companies actually have to buy Bitcoin. They have to hold Bitcoin to then sell it to their customers. And that's something that I'm excited about and looking forward to.
And obviously it's fantastic, right? Because the supply of Bitcoin is getting scarcer and scarcer.
Mm.
It's shrinking. The amount coming online is also shrinking because miners are going to put out less and less because of the halvings. And so the amount that is available for these spot ETFs to buy is going to be less. So in theory, do you see a supply crunch kind of happening where there's way more demand than there is available Bitcoin?
I could imagine the whole ETF situation to start out a bit slow, but then be constant demand over time. Because we have always seen what we have always seen in crypto was these huge demand, the huge demand coming in like one big wave during all these bull cycles, and a lot of retail traders coming in. Everybody's buying Bitcoin at the same time. The price shoots up, and then suddenly a lot of people stop buying, and then it crashes down again. But what I expect from these ETFs is continuous buy pressure over time. Sure, there will be spikes. There will be times where there's more demand, but I think we have seen it in the last bull run with the Grayscale trust. So Grayscale was buying. I think they had like 500,000 Bitcoin or so, and they were buying it over time, and they stopped at one point, and that was around the time when the Coinbase IPO happened. They didn't stop entirely, but they kind of slowed down their activity significantly, and that was also when Bitcoin kind of topped. So I think Grayscale caused a lot of demand in the last bull run. Besides MicroStrategy, maybe also Tesla. But then they stopped, and they haven't really significantly added to the Bitcoin that they're holding. And I would say that with all these ETFs, if they are approved, it's looking really good right now. That could be demand that is created over time.
Exactly. And have you seen the charts where like the long-term holder supply of Bitcoin is at 70%, meaning people haven't, like 70% of the holders of Bitcoin haven't sold in the last 12 months. They've just been holding and riding it. So, and the available supply in exchanges, I think, is like between 2 and 2.5 million Bitcoins. And so it just seems like if you're saying the demand is going to go up, it seems positive for the long-term price of Bitcoin.
Yes, I'm one of these people actually that I have been holding for more than 1 year.
All right.
And yeah, I mean, it depends where they are getting their Bitcoin from. I could imagine that they're buying some of them OTC. So I think there are also some institutions that want to sell. Like I can imagine the Mount Gox trustee. I'm not sure if they are done with selling. Certain governments always hold Bitcoin, probably want to sell them. Um, the governments usually get it from confiscating Bitcoin from somebody, and yeah, I think it's possible that they buy some of them OTC, but
Yep.
long term, I think they could be buying them from exchanges.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely. You're right. Secondary markets, there could be some supply, but it seems like over time it's getting scarcer and scarcer. But my one
sure,
con
and we shouldn't forget all these Bitcoin that are lost,
Yep.
because I think the circulating supply of Bitcoin is not accurate. You have at least like 2 million Bitcoin that are lost. Sometimes there are even estimations of 3 to 4 million Bitcoin being lost due to the early days, where people mined it but didn't really care about it. Maybe lost the keys. Or Satoshi is rumored to have 1 million Bitcoin. He disappeared. So yeah.
That's so interesting about Satoshi because I feel like I mean, why do we think that he wouldn't come back and claim his Bitcoins, you know?
Probably because he died. I mean, that's like a common theory that he just passed away. People always say that Hal Finney passed away. He was the first guy, the first one to do a Bitcoin transaction, and he did it with Satoshi. Maybe he was Satoshi after all, right? He
Right.
passed away. Satoshi shortly before that sent his last message on the Bitcoin forum. Maybe he just passed away. I don't know,
Okay.
or he's in prison.
Being tortured. But no, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. I mean it could I mean Hal Finney knew who he was, so
Maybe, yeah.
yeah, most likely. Wow. Okay, so that's kind of like the supply demand fundamental of Bitcoin, very positive. My one concern is just like it's such an obvious thing now. If you look at some metrics, institutional demand is at a record high. Everyone's
Mm.
expecting this. It almost seems like it could be a buy the news and then or buy the rumor and then sell the news event kind of thing, just because of weird market psychology. But it
No,
seems
that's a good point, because the last two Bitcoin tops were coincided with major fundamental events in the US with Bitcoin, related to Bitcoin. So the 2017 top was to the day, like the day of the 2017 top was the launch of the CME futures. It was the day of the top. And then the day of the top in April 2021 was the Coinbase IPO. That was also the exact day of the top. So and then I don't have a fundamental event for like the 69K top in whenever it was, I think October 2021. But it's absolutely possible that this is the same thing right here, where we have like a top coinciding with like a major fundamental event where in the US that is related to Bitcoin.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's hard to really like be scientific about that, but it seems like we're almost perfect like the crypto market is almost perfectly correlated to like the macro environment. Like when interest rates are going up, when they're trying to fight inflation with high interest rates, growth technology in general did terribly in the last 2 years, right? Like
Mm.
tech stocks, not like the big monopolies, but biotechnology, electric vehicle companies, crypto all just got crashed, right? Now, literally November 2023, the Federal Reserve has come out and said, we're going to be hiking next, or we're going to be cutting rates next year, and we beat inflation, and so everything is pumping because of that. Do you agree that there's a strong correlation between the macro environment and crypto?
Yeah, sure. I think those are just the most speculative markets. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
probably in your in a Microsoft stock you don't have as much movement, or let's go to even more conservative stocks. Like I'm really not an expert in the stock market, but let's say, I don't know, like a very conservative company that has been around for like 200 years won't move as much. But all this tech stuff that has a lot of potential in the future, it's just people speculate on it a bit more. And then crypto has a lot of potential in a sense that there is not so much backing it, right? You can basically interpret or have an interpretation that it can do everything in the future. It can do anything, and that's like that's the speculative component that you have in crypto. I mean, you can say that the whole world will run on Ethereum. That's like a point you can make, because it's just so there are just so many possibilities, right? You cannot really when you have a company, you can specify what they're doing really well. But with all these crypto ecosystem, crypto tokens, they can just make an announcement. They say we want to do this. Like it's more like what we want to do and not what we're actually doing right now. I think the companies are held a bit more responsible to what they're actually doing, but whereas crypto is always looking towards what can we do in the future, like what can this do in 1 year from now, like 5 years from now. And yeah, I think that it's just like a very, very speculative market.
Exactly. And so when, when money is cheap, like, and it's just flowing
Mm.
and the rates are down and the cost of money is down, it seems like just the craziest growth stuff goes up and attracts that money. But what's interesting is the market, the big money has no idea what is going on with crypto. Like they don't know if Cardano is better than Solana or Avalanche. And I mean, we've seen meme tokens 1000x in the last month. So like that's what's crazy. No one understands this space really, right?
Yeah, I mean it's also hard to understand because there's just so much noise in it, right?
Yeah.
Just and there are so few working products in this space. So all these chains just constantly launch token after token after token, and all these tokens want to do something, and then 1 year from now they're just gone. And so most of the stuff in this space doesn't stick around for the long run. Most of the stuff that is around for the long run are layer ones that are used to launch all these products. So we're looking at what kind of products can we launch on this layer one that will generate for this layer one, because layer one without products is useless. But that's what we're always talking about, and layer ones have always done well in crypto in the past. So I think they are all and we have already seen this in this cycle with Solana, for example, is layer one.
Mhm.
Ethereum has also done well. I think when Ethereum was at 800 sometime in 2022, it's now at 2,400. So it did 300%
Yeah.
as like the second biggest market cap coin. So
Yeah.
that's pretty significant.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably what institutions are looking at. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's hard to measure the fair value of a network protocol in this space. Like, what's the fair value of Ethereum? That's really hard to measure. You can look at transactions, you can look at user base, but you could make a case that Ethereum is highly overvalued right now. You could make a case that's highly undervalued. You could say a fair price for Ethereum is like 10,000. You could say a fair price is 100. There's just not a lot of methods to measure what this kind of new technology is worth.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like we don't have like big institutions kind of like big research firms like diving into this stuff. And so that's why you can find value. Like for instance, I'll talk about the Flow blockchain.
Okay.
It's to be like a hated out. Have you heard of the Flow blockchain?
Yeah, sure. They have many sports assets,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
NBA Top Shot, for example, or yeah,
exactly. And
others.
you're in the sports space, so you follow all of
Yeah.
it. I mean, why does the market hate Flow blockchain, for instance? Huh? Like
I don't know.
it,
Probably because it hasn't pumped as much, because people always hate everything that is down. And then when it
yeah,
goes up, they start to love it again, and then they
yeah.
hate it again when it goes down. So
Yeah, and I think that's what Solana was. I mean, it was probably one of the most hated layer ones.
sure,
Months ago.
sure.
Yeah.
After the FTX disaster,
Yep.
and now
Yeah.
everybody likes it, right? Everybody's trading meme coins on Solana, so this space is really fast moving.
Yeah, it is. But Solana it does have a lot building on it, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
a,
sure. I mean,
a whole lot. So it is, I understand the hype around it for the long term.
I would say, going back to the institutions, I would say the institutions will probably just spread into this market. They will just say, okay, we want exposure to crypto. We just buy every coin in the top 10.
Yeah, that's where we're at because they don't really understand it. So they're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna let's just like spread money across. Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
think most of the stuff in crypto is just too small for institutions. But they're not buying anything with like 100 million market cap or so, because they probably want to put in like 20 million.
Well, that's what's so exciting. We're at the point where like even the worst stuff will do well. Everything with crypto in the name will do well in a bull market, it seems.
Yeah, I think probably also a lot of institutions are active in like pre-sales and private sales before these assets are launched, because that's where they can put in a lot of capital
Right.
without moving the price so much, right? They,
True.
if something is like a new layer one is launching at 100 million valuation, they can put in 20 million and at a fixed price. But if they want to buy that on Binance, for example, or on Coinbase, it's just not possible. Or they will drive the price up 5x, and that's not what they want to do.
Exactly. And so, yes, but I think the point here is that just in a crypto bull market, the worst stuff outperforms the best stuff because no one understands truly what the nature of this
Potentially,
stuff.
yes.
Well, yeah, like because no one understands what the nature is yet. So the riskiest stuff will just like by default just be way more volatile to the upside. The lower market cap stuff.
There will be a lot of risky stuff that will do well, and then people will jump on more risky stuff because something has done well, and then
Yeah. See,
with
that's
the
my
meme coins we always see that.
Yeah, that's my problem in bull markets is like I like to take profits and then find something that hasn't moved yet. And so when you do that, you end up going to the worse and worse stuff.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so looking at 2024, it seems like, the fundamentals for a bull market are strong. It seems like no one was expecting this year-end pump, and I think that's probably why it's happening. People like just caught off guard, and no one was expecting a massive bull run in technology in November and December. And so people are probably going to start to chase it here, you know, and they probably already are actually. Institutional demand for Bitcoin is the highest level ever leading up to the Bitcoin ETF.
Mm.
Just came out. So I
Yeah,
guess,
I would say we have seen something this year that was really exciting for markets, which is the AI revolution. So AI really came out of nowhere this year. I mean, we heard about AI before, but then suddenly ChatGPT is released and hits 100 million users 6 months later.
yeah.
That's unheard of. I, I think no product has ever reached 100 million users that fast, and it's really useful. So that's something that probably caught everybody off guard, and led to like a lot of capital flowing into tech stocks, and because people just have so much faith into AI and the potential with it.
Oh, for sure. And that's another exciting part of crypto is the AI corner, right? There are assets that are in AI. Now, a lot of them just kind of say it and they're just like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
We're
they're
doing
still going,
AI.
yeah, they just say it.
Actually,
And
the ones that said like 2 years ago, they said we're doing an NFT marketplace, are now the ones that are saying we're now doing AI.
yeah,
So they're just always jumping on the next hype.
yeah, exactly. But the AI tokens are doing pretty well, it seems right now.
Yeah, but I still don't see the connection between AI and crypto, right? They're basically all what they're saying is um, we're doing AI, but with a token. And so
Yeah.
the only real use case I see for AI in connection with crypto is that all of this hardware power that is used to mine crypto will be used to run AI, because AI is so hardware consuming, especially all the digital image rendering. And
Yeah.
I could see probably a bit of hash power going out of crypto and into AI.
Yeah, there's a few. I think there are a few that have some decent stories for sure. Like Singularity Net is a marketplace that is decentralized and connects all the different AI service providers
Mhm.
on the chain, so it can all just be traced that way. That one's interesting. Fetch AI is part of, Bosch, it's a German company.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
As a German, I know
yeah,
that.
yeah, they are investing in and using Fetch AI.
Actually, a funny story. Bosch bought IOTA back in 2017, and then that led to, I don't know, IOTA pumping from like $1 to 5, or I don't remember fully, but I'm not sure anything ever came out of it. But
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Bosch really active in the crypto space, it seems.
Yeah, no, 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 for sure they are. I didn't realize they.
Pumping our bags.
Well, they're pumping Fetch. I know they're doing like some sort of smart car thing where it's kind of all tracked and it's obviously still in the early stages. So
Yeah, yeah.
There's a handful out there. Are you looking at any of them to buy any AI assets?
Uh, no, not really. I'm not really in. I don't have any. I have to say, I'm using ChatGPT frequently, but I haven't really found a crypto AI asset that was interesting to me. You know, most of them just seem like they just say we're now doing AI, and I want to see one that actually does something useful.
Right. Well, okay, here's
Because
one.
I saw a few I saw a few AI products that basically have their own version of ChatGPT, but it just seems like a copycat.
Yeah, I know. I know the whole chatbot thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen so many with chatbots, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Most of them have like 5 users or so. It's not very exciting.
Well, that's why I like having you on. I appreciate you like looking at the actual fundamentals of these assets, right? For the long term, the usefulness of them.
Yeah, there's always this discrepancy because um you have like a crypto protocol that says we're doing AI. Like they announce it. They're like, we are pre-launch stage, potentially going 100 million market cap, 200 million, 500 million, 1 billion market cap. And then
Yeah.
they actually launch their product and they have 20 users, right? And the utility of the token probably would justify a 100 USD market cap, right? And but
Yeah.
it's actually trading at like 300 million. And that's something that's always fascinating to me because people in crypto pay for the future, right? They pay for what this could do in the future, not what it's doing right now. But I think it's always fascinating how big the discrepancy is between actual current use case and value potential future valuation.
Exactly. But you like to buy the things ideally that have a lot of usage and maybe the price hasn't gone up yet because you think the market will eventually discover the ones that are used.
Potentially, yes. And also the ones that have a useful product, but the market hasn't found it yet. But
Yes.
if the product isn't useful and they're also not having many users, then I'm kind of skeptical if this can go anywhere. Then it has to have a real low valuation and a really good looking chart that I might buy in, but it's not, one of my preferred long-term holds.
Yeah, no, that seems to make a lot of sense for apps. I mean, I like doing that too. That's why I brought up the Flow blockchain because there's like 500,000 transactions per day. Disney is building on it, NBA, UFC, NFL, like so many different things going on top of it. Ticketmaster, like,
Okay.
you can avoid fraud on tickets by putting them on the blockchain. And people like resell tickets and scalp and everything. Well, now,
Yeah.
yeah, so millions of ticket NFTs from Ticketmaster on Flow. Boom.
That's interesting because that's like a good use case of blockchain technology that has been like we have been talking about this for like the last 6 years, and there have been several products that wanted to do this, but I think they always lacked the business relationships to
Hmm.
actually connect with the brands to actually launch tickets. But if
Yeah.
Ticketmaster is doing it, they're already like a household name, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
Big time.
but what I don't understand about Flow, what I don't know, maybe you know this, um, like NBA Top Shot and all these sports brands, are they actually on the Flow blockchain, or are they running on like a copy of the Flow blockchain? Do they have their own copy of the Flow blockchain? Because that's sometimes something that I'm not sure of.
You're saying sometimes someone could do a fork and then just like use the technology.
Yeah, basically that's what
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah. Yeah.
NBA Top Shot was doing, but I'm not sure they're actually doing this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Mm.
But that's still good for the isn't that still good for the
Yeah, I mean, Flow has really strong business partnerships. And the brands that they are
yeah.
partnering with, I mean, if
Yeah.
you if you just list them, right, NBA,
Yeah.
Disney, and
Right.
the question is, why are they all choosing Flow?
Right.
And yeah, I don't have the answer to that.
Well, I know Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, was on the board of this like NFT wearable company that's for celebrities. And ever
Mm.
since then, like they've been really close with Disney. And that NFT wearable company built on top of Float. I think it was called Genies or something. That's one link I found with Disney. But I think, well, okay, Dapper Labs raised $750 million. They're the parent company of Flow.
Mm.
So a lot of these, like,
Ah, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Now I understand because Dapper Labs is also the parent company behind NBA Top Shot and all these. I don't know how they are
yeah,
called. NFL
that's
All
right.
Day and UFC Strike and
That's
okay,
right.
okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. So Dapper Labs raised $750 million, and they're just putting money to work. So that's just, I mean, that's just one asset. Obviously, I hold it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think probably all the institutions got into, bought into the 750 million that you just mentioned.
yeah. Well, that's the other interesting thing. Like, you look at, you've heard of the massive partnerships with Polygon, how they like are working with Starbucks and Polygon the layer two, Starbucks and DraftKings, which is fantasy football.
Hmm.
And gosh, it's just so many huge Mercedes-Benz. Like there's a huge chart, just massive brands. A lot of times companies will pay these big, massive organizations in tokens just to kind of partner with them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what I think we have seen in the NFT space is that more and more NFTs are just issued on Polygon than on Ethereum because of the huge gas fees on Ethereum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think Polygon is. I'm seeing more and more just NFTs just using Polygon as their go-to chain. I wouldn't be surprised if they overtake Ethereum at some point.
That's
Considering NFTs, probably they have already.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because you actually monitor this space. So you seem to so a lot of sports NFTs are using Polygon, huh?
Oh, sure. I mean, because a mint on Polygon is just a few cents, right? And a mint on Ethereum can be like $20.
Yeah, so what is your take on that? Because it's very frustrating. It's kind of annoying that like Coinbase, it primarily uses Ethereum and it costs like $50 to spend 30. It's just obscene. So do you think like it's kind of gonna go, it's gonna be replaced by these much better chains, or do you like what is your take on these like massive gas fee assets
No,
like
that's always the same in every bull run. I mean, in every bull run, like Ethereum is the go-to chain at the start. And then everybody's trading on Ethereum. Then the gas fees increase a lot. And then everybody's like, oh my God, I cannot pay these gas fees.
yeah,
Then, all these new layer ones are announced that say, oh my God, we are the better Ethereum. We are
yeah,
the new Ethereum. And there are also other layer ones where then people go to. And then a bear market comes, and then all these other layer ones are ghost town. And then everybody's like, oh my God, these layer ones don't have any users. We're going back to Ethereum. And then they're all back on Ethereum. And then they're, in a bull
yeah.
market, and then everybody starts trading again. The gas fees are exploding. And then they're all like, we have to move to other chains. Like I
Oh,
have some coins in my portfolio that have moved chains 3 or 4 times.
wow.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
And some of them have like cross chain. They issued cross chain, like they have tokens on Ethereum, tokens on I don't know, Binance Smart Chain, tokens on Polygon.
Yeah.
But that's always the story. Like that's the constant thing in every single bull run is that gas fees on Ethereum are too high. All these new layer ones are launched, and then people go back to Ethereum in a bear market, and all these layer ones just disappear.
The only thing I'll say is maybe now that like big institutions are actually doing things on these,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, I mean, some of these layer ones are staying, like Polygon,
yeah,
for example. They're actually valuable, right? But
right,
yeah.
right. Like Solana has, huge companies building on it. Avalanche, Wisdom Tree, JP Morgan, are you doing something,
Mm.
so we're starting to see some real adoption of these other much better layer ones at this point.
Yeah, I think in 2017 we probably had like 10 layer ones, and now it's just probably there are 200 layer ones or so. Like and
Yeah,
only 10 of those have actual applications or useful applications, and the
yeah,
other 190 are just
right.
there's just nothing happening on them, which is really sad because some of them are really innovative. When you look at some layer ones that are really popular, they're really similar to Ethereum. They're not doing anything new. They utilize some mechanisms to have lower gas fees, but they are not they're not nearly as decentralized as Ethereum, and they're not doing anything new. They're not doing anything innovative. So I would actually like to see like a layer one that's actually crypto 3.0, if you will, because Bitcoin was 1.0, Ethereum was 2.0, and I feel like we haven't really seen a big upgrade from the technological side. Right? We see a lot of new layer ones, but what are they actually doing different than Ethereum? Because sometimes it seems like they are reducing decentralization to have like lower gas fees. Some of these that's actually ridiculous. Some of these blockchains are just offline for like maintenance sometimes. And that's something that in 2017 you would have been crucified for that, because people would have said, how can a decentralized blockchain that is run all over the world be in maintenance mode for a few hours? That's impossible. Like Ethereum is not in maintenance mode, right?
Right.
If
Right.
it's you cannot say the Ethereum devs are on a weekend break. Ethereum will be offline from Friday afternoon to Monday morning. That's just not happening in this space, right? But with some of these layer ones, they are so centralized that they can just take them offline for like a few hours to do maintenance, and that's not the core value of this space. The core value of this space was about decentralization, that censorship resistance, that nobody can stop you from interacting with the chain, and if they can just take the chain offline, then it's like a completely centralized product. And you could argue, then what are they doing in crypto, right? They could just run a block like a database.
Right. Maybe the market pays just a massive premium for true decentralization. And maybe that's why Ethereum is kind of like the.
I would disagree. I would say the market doesn't care about decentralization anymore. And we're kind of moving in a direction where it's all about speculation, and nobody cares about any of the core values of this space anymore. But that's just from somebody that has seen this space evolve over the last few years. I think a lot of people that are currently in crypto, they don't care about decentralization anymore. I mean, we just
Okay.
got to be honest here.
Yeah.
I mean, Bitcoin is decentralized, right? Ethereum is decentralized, but a lot of other stuff isn't. A lot of other stuff is really centralized, and also, to make a point towards centralization that supports centralization, they're also required to be centralized by governments imposing rules on them, telling them they have to control their network, they have to blacklist addresses, and they just have no choice. Maybe we can say that Bitcoin already has grown so much that you can't change the network. But yeah, you see it with all these stable coins, actually, because all these stable coins suddenly have like a blacklist function. I don't know
Right.
if you heard about this, right?
Oh
But
no, it's 100% correct. Even like the
yeah,
hardware, even the hardware wallets, like
yeah.
the
It's
fact.
ridiculous.
Well, the fact is, I think the most important thing to governments is controlling the flow of capital,
Mm.
and this, you don't need a bank for any of this. And so what they're going to do is kind of like have eyes into the entire crypto space, and trace every transaction. So it's going to be good for governments in terms of traceability. Like, do you agree? Like they're going to centralize this at some level, at the government level, essentially.
No, I mean, crypto is great for governments, because
Yeah.
you can, you can see where the money is coming from. Like, you can
Right.
trace everything,
Yeah.
because it's a public ledger, right? I can go online and I can analyze where transaction is coming from. I can do a blockchain analysis. I'm sure many other people can do this as well. Feed a blockchain into an AI, and probably it will find a transaction path really, really fast.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think this technology is great for governments, right? It's great
Yeah.
for and that's always when people say like crypto is used by criminals. That makes no sense to me, because it's like the worst technology to use for criminals, because everything is traceable.
Yeah.
One endpoint, and everything this address has done, and all the other addresses that are connected to it, until the end of time. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's totally
Yeah.
traceable. Yeah.
So you're right. Privacy, decentralization, not really big.
There is privacy in crypto by by people not knowing what your address is. That's the privacy in crypto. But like the public, the blockchain is public, so there is no privacy for the addresses itself. that themselves. And there are privacy coins,
Yeah,
but they're getting shut down, right? So they're getting
exactly.
delisted from exchanges, and it's really, I think it will be even more difficult to trade them in the future. And also these coin mixers are getting shut down, so you cannot it won't be possible to kind of wash your transactions so that they're not traceable anymore.
Right.
And yeah, I think but actually, like, the question is, what is the value of crypto then, if if it's slowly transforming away from like the core values that this space created? That's like the question I'm asking myself, because you know um decentralization is not so important anymore. Okay, it's important with Bitcoin, sure.
Yeah.
Important with Ethereum. All these other products don't care about decentralization. Like 99% of the market doesn't care about decentralization. And
Right.
then you have you don't have any more censorship resistance, because everything can be blacklisted and blocked.
Right.
So I'm not sure where this market is heading. Like, would it just be like a speculative market where it's easier to launch an asset than it is, for example, when you launch a company and you want to trade a stock publicly? Is it just because it's easier for trading because you have worldwide trading 24/7, which is way easier than like a local stock exchange where like only local people can trade it? And I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it will be interesting. This market is transforming.
It is, it is. But so the use cases are coming out, like the real ones. Like, so I view it as software. So like, let's say you could own a piece of the revenue from every Google search, right?
Hmm?
And a portion of that revenue was distributed to the token holders of Google. Well, that token would be extremely valuable.
I
And
would
so,
like to see a token like that in crypto.
well, you know what? That's what Chainlink is, because
Okay.
the Swift, the US Swift system
Huh?
is they control 11,000 banks worldwide. That's how they control the flow of the dollar. Like if they want to sanction someone, they'll kick them off the Swift system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, they're using Chainlink, which is an Oracle system, to essentially be Big Brother and connect the data of the entire Web3 world to the traditional financial world and give the government kind of Swift-like control over everything.
Hmm.
And the Chainlink token, the way it works, it's not a governance token, but the holders of the token earn a share of the revenue of the transactions that flow through it. So we're talking quadrillions of transactions essentially
Hmm.
flowing through Chainlink, and the token holders get a piece of it. That's the theory. So there's a use case there, right?
That's exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
most crypto tokens don't have like a direct use case, and if
No.
Chainlink has one,
Yeah.
that's good. I mean, they have been around for like a long time, so
Yeah.
I'm
Well, that's
happy
why
to
like
see something come out of it.
infrastructure, because you're providing a service and the holder should get a share of the revenue of the service that the network is providing. That makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's like also the original gas concept. I mean, you're also paying, for example, on most layer ones, you're paying
Yeah.
with like the main token in gas, and that's
Right.
and if some of that gas, for example, is burned like with a new Ethereum standard,
Yep.
then it should get more valuable over time because the asset gets scarcer, and also more people are buying it to use the network. So yeah.
Exactly. And Bitcoin, like the miners are getting paid the transaction fees on top of it,
Hmm?
right? So
Yes.
there's a business there, right? Like the miners get, like, if the more it's used, the more valuable, the more revenue is actually generated from Bitcoin, and the more miners get paid, right?
Sure, you could make a case that this new use case of networks and taking part in network fees, and that this is new, that this is like a new thing that hasn't been around before,
Yeah, exactly. And right. So
which is actually interesting because networks are more and more important. Totally different, but we're seeing like all these networks in social media, like where you you grow your own network, like this kind of network. We're seeing that in like social media, and then we see a different kind of network in crypto where you have like a layer one that has a lot of applications on top of it. So you could say that, for example, let's say you would have like a coin for the whole internet,
right.
and you you would earn with every single website that is launched. I mean, that would be valuable, but something like that didn't exist before. Yeah, you couldn't invest in that. Right? You couldn't invest in the internet. You also cannot invest in like your own social media network, but
Right.
you could invest in, you can invest in like a crypto layer one. Yeah,
Exactly. So you would agree the more they're used, the more the networks are used, the more valuable the underlying token is.
definitely. But we need some useful products in this space.
Yes. And I think like for instance,
Like we're talking about like products with millions of users, and I'm not talking about exchanges because
yeah,
exchanges are like really successful in crypto, but like something, so for example, like a game that has 1 million users or
yeah,
so,
there you go.
that shouldn't be so difficult to do, but yet we haven't seen it yet.
Right. Exactly. But that they are building and they're like you're but that's a great use case. Imagine a game that has 1 million users on Ethereum generating fees and then the holders of Ethereum get paid essentially.
Sure, or the
Yeah.
holders of the game.
Yeah, right. Gaming is another use case of token like governance over the assets in the game and the different to gaming tokenomics and all that.
I think I would add that gaming would be a great use case, and because many games have in-game assets
Yeah.
and they are stored on like centralized servers,
Yeah.
right? So when they when they block your account, you lose all your assets,
Right.
and that's really disappointing with gaming right now. I don't know if you play any, like I play sports games, for example, like football games,
Uh,
and you have all these cards of players that then play in your team, and if they close your account by tomorrow, then you lose all the stuff you bought in game, right? It's just
right.
gone. And
Right.
also
Right.
you don't have any possibility to trade it, right? It just stays in your account, and if you don't want to play anymore, you just spend all this money, you cannot trade it. So that would be like a great use case for blockchain and crypto technology to just put this on a blockchain and give gamers self custody of their assets, of their in-game assets, right? But then I would say, why would the gaming companies do this? Because it hurts their business model, right?
Well,
They
that's
want
the
to sell as many, they want to sell cards, they want to sell as many cards as possible, and they want to prevent you from selling your cards because that's like potential sales taken
yeah.
away from them, right? So
Yeah.
some of the stuff that would be beneficial for users is not beneficial for these companies. But then on the other hand, I would say if just a company just does it, like they launch a football game and they give gamers the control of in-game assets, so self-custody, and then people will use it because it's better, and then all these other companies, traditional companies, have to come in and have to do the same. It's basically how innovation works, right? Somebody does something useful, and then all the others have to catch up.
That is exactly what I see happening because there are play to earn games. Eventually people will demand it. Even though you're right, the big gaming companies would hate for that to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Definitely. And gamers actually hate it as well, right? Because if you tell gamers you don't have control over your in-game assets and you should utilize NFT technology um, to get ownership of your assets, then they just hear NFT and they're like, oh my God, NFTs are a scam. Right? And then they're like against NFTs and they say, no, no, we don't want that. We don't want NFTs in gaming. Leave us
yeah.
alone. And but they, because it's so difficult to explain this technology.
100%. And we just went on a whole bunch of different tangents. We're trying like I could talk about this with you all day long, various different aspects of this, but I guess just going back to like 2024 outlook for this space. I mean, obviously it's very exciting. It's like the Wild West, new frontiers. So one thing we could cover is kind of your prediction. I know you have a thought. I've seen your Twitter. You have a thought on like kind of where Bitcoin is headed. Um, I guess what do you expect for crypto in terms of price action in 2024? I know it's a very hard question, but
So I would say, we already touched on this, that Bitcoin correlated with major fundamental events in the US.
yeah,
And I had a different plan. So I thought maybe Bitcoin would reach a new all-time high right before the ETF launch.
yeah.
And then it would, crash down again, another bear market or whatever. But that hasn't happened yet, which makes me question my own thought. So now I'm moving to a different theory where I think that Bitcoin, that the speculative demand right now is lower than I thought it would be, because I thought there would be like a huge anticipation rally to the Bitcoin ETF, and then it would launch. It would, the expectations would be much higher, and then it would crash down because it cannot meet the expectations.
Yeah.
However, what I'm seeing right now is that there are actually not a lot of expectations towards the Bitcoin ETF. The price has kind of gone up, but not, I mean, it's at 44K, right? Bitcoin is not at 100K.
Right.
So this is not like retail is not coming into this market right now. I don't see many like new people coming in and buying Bitcoin because they say, oh my God, I need to enter before the ETF launches. And that surprises me, because usually this market is driven by a lot of speculation, and then the news comes in, everybody's disappointed, it crashes down. So I would say in terms of price action, so I'm moving towards a new direction, and also touching on something that you said, because I think we will definitely see like a sell the news event for the Bitcoin ETF. I think we will definitely see that. Question is just how big it will be, right? Will it be another bear market? I don't think so currently. I don't think so, because we haven't seen that kind of run up before.
Exactly.
So what I think is there might be like a sell the news event, maybe like a minus 20% or whatever, and then it slowly launches, and probably these ETFs. It will be interesting to see how big the demand is in these ETFs. Like, how many Bitcoin will they actually buy? Like, how many Bitcoin will the customers buy? How big will their balance be that they are holding? Because like all these major institutions are launching at once. Like, we're not having like one single Bitcoin ETF. It seems we're having like 10 at the same time, which is really surprising.
It's amazing.
It's not, it's not one institution that's. I would have expected like one smaller institution, like probably dipping their toe in, and then all the others are watching how it goes. But it's complete opposite. All these major traditional finance companies are coming in and launching a Bitcoin ETF at the same time. It's really surprising. So I could see a lot of demand from that. But I still expect also the Bitcoin or like the crypto space to front run the demand. And maybe once they are seeing that a lot of demand is coming in, people will try to front run it. So I could imagine like another bull run, I hope, until the end of 2024. What would be like kind of nice is at least until the mid of 2024. What would be absolutely devastating is if this is actually the top event, like the spot ETF launch, and then we have another bear market. That would be devastating. But I'm trying to be prepared for all scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely. From my perspective, it seems like, okay, it's a US election year. We have a lot of money printing coming down the pipeline because
Sure.
they have to issue their debt, and the Federal Reserve is already talking dovish about cutting rates, and they say inflation is dead, and it seems like they need a bull run. And so that's kind of what the market's getting excited about now. So you have technology and crypto moving up. I don't see that stopping anytime soon into 2024 unless there is a scare of some sort in the system. But again, like the Federal Reserve always does in 2020 and 2008, they backstop the market with printed money, and they may just continue to do that. So it could, and what I love hearing, because okay, so that's the macro environment, but then what you're saying, the sentiment, retail traders are still in the disbelief phase. They don't believe this is a real rally yet. So
Yeah.
there's more room for them to chase and make a bigger bubble.
Yeah, I have to confess that I haven't tracked it that much, so I'm not aware of like the current Google searches for Bitcoin or so. I don't know if you have covered that.
Yeah, it's nowhere near the all-time highs of old.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I'm not seeing it because like in 2021, I also saw it in my like personal environment, like friends, people that I met.
yeah,
They were actually talking with me about crypto and whether they should enter, and my God, this is so exciting and whatever. But I'm not seeing that right now. And
exactly.
it's rather quiet.
Yeah.
This is like a very quiet uptrend.
But that's a beautiful thing because when you do start getting those questions, it's usually a sign that, the top is here.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, but that's always that always coincides with altcoins, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
Bitcoin always kind of front runs, and then all these alts catch up, and alts are more appealing to like retail. They
Yeah.
want to buy more, like they want to buy meme coins more than Bitcoin, for example.
Yeah, it seems like the
Everybody
altcoin.
wants to buy meme coins.
I know that's all anyone wants to buy. Like, the new meme coins are the ones running on top of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I read
Yeah,
that.
yeah. There's
Yeah, and
this.
I also read that like a Bitcoin core developer then said, we are deploying a patch that will erase all of this from Bitcoin.
Wait, so that. I mean, yeah. But that's people start asking me about like all the. They're called ordinal tokens. They're just dropping them. This essentially Bitcoin is being spammed with
Yeah, yeah,
meme,
yeah,
meme coins, and like a lot of them are doing really well. Um,
yeah, and also NFTs and stuff.
yeah. So, but I have to ask because isn't Bitcoin supposed to be decentralized? How are their core developers doing things like that?
So what I would say is the network is decentralized. So the blockchain, like the database, what it runs on is completely decentralized, right?
Oh, okay.
So I mean, completely decentralized. Also, like it's too much, but it's kind of decentralized. It's more decentralized than everything else we have seen. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, probably you could run an attack if you know like the right places to go. Like if you shut down a few mining farms or whatever.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin is probably the most decentralized asset we have ever seen.
Right.
So,
That makes sense.
but
Okay.
the development is um I would say it's led by like a few developers that make like a consensus, that form a consensus where it wants to go, and probably not a few developers. That's also wrong. I'm not really into, like, I'm not really in the Bitcoin development community, but I think they are really, if it hasn't changed from like a few years ago, they are really against innovation. Like they are really against changing anything about Bitcoin, because we had all these discussions about the, raising the block size back in 2017, that then led to Bitcoin Cash and whatever. Um, the transaction fees on Bitcoin used to be really high, and then they wanted to make it more scalable, and everybody was like, no, this is not the original vision that Satoshi had, and we want to keep it, you know we want to keep it unchanged. Like we don't want to change anything. And
Right.
I could see that these people that are leading Bitcoin development um, are really much against all these tokens and NFTs, because most of them, I would imagine, most of them are just Bitcoin maximalists that just say everything other than Bitcoin is a total fraud.
Oh,
And
most of them are, yeah. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's reasonable. I would expect them to do something like that. But I don't know who is needed to change something in Bitcoin's code. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I know, I think if enough miners get together, they can make a decision and change something serious. If enough of
Yeah,
them.
probably. And then we have another fork,
Oh, okay,
because
got
some
it.
of them mine a different chain, and then
Yeah.
we have another Bitcoin clone.
Oh, okay.
We haven't
Yeah.
had many of these actually recently, so
Right.
surprisingly, because we had so many of these in 2017.
Yeah, I guess because it didn't work. It
Yeah,
just But
yeah.
okay, here's an interesting thing. So it seems like, and again, another tangent, but it's very interesting. So we have the Solana ecosystem heating up, capital flooding in, the Bonk meme token skyrocketing. Same thing
Mm.
over on Avalanche, money flooding in, the COQ meme token there skyrocketing, all the dexes going crazy on there. But then Ethereum ecosystem is all quiet on the NFT front. Do you see that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ethereum is quiet as long as the gas fees are not $80 per transaction, right?
Right. But it's
So
like
you can still do a transaction on Ethereum, and that means there is not as much demand as there used to be.
But maybe that's why people are moving to other ecosystems because they just don't want to deal with the
Yeah,
fee.
yeah, that's always the case. Yes, I think
Yeah.
Solana probably. surprised many people,
Hmm.
but it just went up in price, and then everybody went to the chain and started trading. And then you
Yeah.
also had the phone,
Yeah.
yeah, with
Yeah.
that paid for itself with the bonk airdrop, and that's now like I don't know, it's now trading for like 10x the price. Like the phone costs, it doesn't cost 500 USD anymore, like 5,000.
Oh, I know. Well, it's genius because they have like if you buy the phone, you get the meme tokens. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so then but then what's going to bring life back to the Ethereum ecosystem? Because a lot of people have assets in SHIB, in Bored Ape Yacht Club, and
Hmm.
the Ethereum stuff, and like it's been quiet. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I think there are a lot of assets now on Ethereum, like so many tokens, so many NFTs. So even if you have like a little activity,
Yeah.
there is already like a base layer of a lot of transactions going on.
Okay.
But maybe maybe you have like a new NFT collection, like a new meme coin. I don't know. I think
Right.
Pepe was on Ethereum, like the
Oh,
meme
okay.
coin of like the spring.
Right, right,
That
right.
was, that also came out of nowhere, right? Suddenly everybody was talking about it. It had like a 5 billion market cap,
Oh my gosh.
and
Wow.
yeah, these things always come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, so I see what you're saying. I think you're saying Ethereum's so big, it's kind of just like it's
Yeah,
so,
something will launch and then everybody will jump on it.
yeah, okay. And it's so enormous that like, I mean, a few hundred million won't just cause it to go crazy like the other smaller ones probably.
Sure, sure.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. So, okay, so looking out into 2024, it seems like we have a good setup overall for the space, unless there's some unforeseen event. But the macro environment is good, the rate environment is good, and it seems like the people are still sitting on the sidelines. We're not getting those questions about like what meme coin should I buy, from people that don't understand. There's more capital to flood into the space in 2024. Do you agree?
With the traditional finance, I would agree that more institutions are coming in. Um, I think what's interesting is that we really have only seen one company buy Bitcoin like in massive amounts. That is MicroStrategy,
Right.
and
Right.
that's not even like a huge company. I
Right.
mean, they are like a reputable software company, but they're not Microsoft. They're not Apple. Right? Can you
Right.
imagine Apple would buy Bitcoin? Um, and that's it's just one company, one single company, and it feels like they can move the price of Bitcoin.
Right.
And imagine, and in the last bull run we also had Tesla, and then we have El Salvador, but El Salvador really is like they're not buying as much Bitcoin, like probably buying one Bitcoin a day or so.
Yeah.
So, but once we see like more countries, like more companies coming in, like more than one country, more than one company, I think there has to be demand. I mean, that's always the case that they are not coming in, that they don't like Bitcoin, but I think especially countries have demand for Bitcoin as like some kind of decentralized asset. As
Absolutely.
as as Michael Saylor always says, like the hardest money on earth. I think there is demand for that.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that prevented these companies from buying Bitcoin, like Michael Saylor says, is the accounting treatment. It wasn't favorable to buy
Yeah,
it. Well, that's changing in 2024.
you're the expert on that.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's true. Like a company wouldn't want to buy it because you're gonna have to book a huge permanent loss if it goes down in value. Well, now if it goes up, you can book a gain, and if it goes down, you can book a loss, just like holding stocks. So
Mm-hmm.
companies are, and in Japan, the same thing. The treatment is different. So now companies are incentivized to buy it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's brand new.
yeah, and that's only in the U.S. That's
Yeah.
just for the US. But we always talk about the US because it's such a huge market,
Yeah.
and obviously it influences everything.
Right.
But something that we have to be aware of also in crypto is that, for example, in 2017, like South Korea alone probably drove Bitcoin from 6,000 to 20,000. Right? They were buying Bitcoin at like 30,000 because there was there was a huge demand over there.
Mm,
And we
Wow.
really have to see that crypto is a worldwide market, and we also have like we already had ETFs in other countries. You know,
Yeah.
when for example, let's say somebody from Dubai is buying Bitcoin, like some
Yeah.
very rich family
Hmm.
from the Emirates or wherever. Right? It's a worldwide market, and we
Yeah.
have obviously we already have or we always have a lot of demand from the US because it's just such a big economy.
Right.
But I think like a crypto bull run could also just be driven by some country that we don't even that we're not even looking at right now.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the first times Europe is opening its arms to a new technology because
Yeah,
normally they like stifle. That's why there are no big internet companies over there. But
yeah,
apparently,
yeah,
really, right? So
totally. No, Europe always, we always destroy everything with a regulation.
exactly. But it seems like they want to embrace crypto, which is huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable. So at the end of the day, you're incredibly bullish on this space.
I mean, I'm still bullish. Yeah, sure. I mean, I have been in crypto since 2017, and I never quit.
Yep.
Um, and I'm also full-time crypto, so yeah, I'm absolutely bullish on this space. What always interested me about crypto is that this is basically a new financial market, right?
Right.
A new financial market that is that doesn't happen very often, right? When was the last time a new financial market was created?
Exactly.
Probably the stock market. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, there are not many financial markets, right? You have equities, you have metals, but probably bonds. I don't know if you would count that as
Yeah.
probably would count that as a financial market. But crypto is like a new financial market, and it's still so small. It's still a what's the current market cap of crypto? Like 2 trillion. If you take out Bitcoin, it's less than 1 trillion.
Right.
um, that's still small compared to other financial markets. Right? If you, for example, look at the market cap of gold, right? Gold alone has a market cap of I think 14 trillion.
Wow.
Bitcoin is 800 billion. So if Bitcoin would catch up to the market cap of gold or like the whole crypto space in general, like you're looking at a 10x for like the whole crypto space. I mean, Apple has a market cap of 3 trillion. I remember like a few years ago, they were like the first company to surpass that mark of a 1 trillion market cap. Now they're at 3 trillion. Right. So a trillion is not what a trillion used to be, obviously. And I think it's reasonable to say that the whole crypto market could be more valuable than like the biggest company on earth with Apple.
Absolutely. That's a
So
great.
it could catch up to gold. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that is a great point. I mean, and so what I love so much is the fact that kind of we had this monetary policy that crashed all assets, real estate, tech, and crypto. So we had a buying opportunity. Seems like they're going to return back to the easy money printing policy that governments always turn back to. And this stuff could be just off to the races again.
Could be, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has already like I'm seeing a few parallels to 2020 when basically Bitcoin only increased. Like Bitcoin went from
Yeah.
4K to 60K.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that took a bit until it went to 60K in 2021, beginning of 2021, something like that. But I'm seeing some parallels because back then Bitcoin was also the first mover, right? And everything else was lagging a bit. And then, Bitcoin kind of stalled for like a few months, and then these other assets caught up. So that's what I'm looking at with the current bull run. Absolutely. I'm looking for some of the alts that I'm holding. I'm looking for them to catch up and have a rally
Brilliant.
on their own.
Brilliant. And then so I guess we'll just end kind of on, and obviously we can talk about anything else you want, but for your trading strategy for 2024, what are you any insight you could give us into how you're kind of playing the market?
Yeah, really, really simple strategy. I'm looking for new all-time highs for new coins that were launched in like 2022 or 2023 that never really had a bull run. I'm looking for new all-time highs there, like for the stuff that is obviously valuable,
Yeah.
not for the shit coins.
Right.
And for all the stuff that is old, I'm looking for a corrective rally. So let's make an example, something that went down from like 100 USD to 1.
Yeah.
I'm looking for like a corrective rally that, sends it from, I don't know, 1 USD back to 20, and then it crashes down again. That's something that I'm looking at, because that's something that you usually see in crypto, and that you have seen in the past, is that these older coins, they go up with the market, but they don't make a new all-time high. Sometimes it's not possible for them to make a new all-time high, because like the previous all-time high in market cap was it's the same level with now a much lower price, because the circulating supply has increased so much.
Yeah.
So what we often see in crypto is like corrective rallies for older assets, and the new stuff is the stuff that gets people really excited.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's kind of my strategy.
So you kind of okay, that makes sense. So the new stuff outperforms the older stuff historically, is that
The
right?
new stuff makes all-time highs.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but the old stuff doesn't make all-time highs. It stays below all-time highs, but it can still do like a 10x from the lows, because it just went down 98% or so, and there's
Yeah.
still so much room to go up.
Yeah, and you've been in a lot of these bull and bear markets, so you're weathered. Do you still
Yes.
advise selling once you make a 10x and then rebalancing the portfolio?
Um, yeah, that's still like a good strategy. Also, I wouldn't rebalance when we are potentially at the end of a bull market. Then I would probably put it in cash.
Yeah.
So, and I also would be like, I would also be aware of taxes, because rebalancing, can be a potential tax gain depending
Oh
on
yeah.
where you live.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you always have to put some money aside for taxes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, 10x is still a good return. I mean, I would always look at the chart. I would look at the chart and see, well, does this look like a lot more upside? And then we already talked about it before. So I don't like to, just blank, you hit the sell button, but I like to have a stop loss that
Oh
moves
yeah.
higher. So
Yeah.
um I like to, yeah, for example, I don't know, let's say Ethereum is at 2000, it's at 2400 right now, and I want to sell. Then I just put a stop loss at like 2200, and then um if it continues to go up, if it goes up from 2400 to 2800, I'm still in. Right,
Yeah.
I'm still riding the trend, and I can just move my stop loss higher. I can move my stop loss now from 2200 to 2600. Maybe it goes from 2800 then down and hits my stop loss, then I'm out. Right? But I
Right.
didn't sell at like a point where it still increased in price. And this is especially true for like a parabolic uptrend, um, where you don't want to, like, where it can happen that you sell and it just makes another 100% the next day also. So that's like the stop loss strategy is something that I would utilize.
Okay, yeah, that is fantastic. Yeah, because the bull markets are just as scary as the bear markets when you're trying to yeah, because like your portfolio can just balloon and then you don't know what to do. It's very psychologically hard. So,
Yeah, I'm also like a TA person, so I like to do TA and mostly Elliott waves, and I look at Fibonacci numbers, like Fibonacci extensions and retracements. Those are some of the tools that I'm using, and I always look in a chart. I look for like, if I see a clear structure, if I see like a clear wave structure, some clear confluence with the Fibonacci lines,
yeah.
and those can also influence my selling decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've seen on your Twitter that you it seems like we're in a bull run, right? Because we made like the first wave up and you see more waves up into the next few months, it seems.
Well, I think that for Bitcoin, I think 2019, when it went from like 3K to 14K, was like the first wave. Judging from an Elliott wave perspective, that was
Yeah.
the first wave, and then it crashed down from like 14K to 4K again. That was the second. Then it
Yeah.
went from 4K to 69K. That
Yeah.
was the third wave for me, because the
Right.
third wave is always like a really, really strong one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it crashed down again from 69K to 15K. That was the fourth. And now we're looking at the fifth wave, like the final wave up. And that, I would put that somewhere around maybe 80K or so, 80,
Oh,
90K. It
interesting.
can be more extended.
Interesting.
And so a new all-time high,
Yeah.
and then like another bear market.
Well, I'm glad I asked because it seems like that does seem like exactly the type of environment we're in. And if that happens with Bitcoin, it's good for the altcoins too. Where you're saying the whole space is kind of in the fifth wave type of deal.
Um, yeah, and I can add something interesting to that. Back in 2017, Ethereum topped, I think it was like 21 days after Bitcoin topped. Exactly 21 days, okay? In
Okay.
2017. And
Hmm.
then in 2021, Ethereum topped exactly 21 days after Bitcoin topped. So it was exactly the same amount of days that Ethereum topped after Bitcoin topped. And maybe we will see the same here. So let's say Bitcoin tops, like, I don't know, this is very hypothetical. But let's say Bitcoin tops at like 80K. And then if it would play out the same exact way like it did in the last two bull markets, then Ethereum could top again like 21 days after Bitcoin top. So the
Okay.
altcoins usually tend to run longer than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is already
Right.
exhausted, but the altcoins are still running.
Oh, that's so helpful to know. Yeah, I appreciate that. And everything makes so much sense based on what we're talking about. I mean, even through the crypto winter, it was like the on-chain fundamentals of Bitcoin were at like all-time lows, historically always buying points, and it
Mm.
worked out really well. And now we're in the part of the disbelief phase before the next bull run. It seems like it's very straightforward, almost too straightforward.
Yeah, I think some altcoins are still in the depression phase. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
not in the
Right.
disbelief phase yet. But
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. There are some huge accounts on Twitter that have been in disbelief uh like this entire bull run, right? They have
Yep.
been I've seen many people that said, okay, now it's going to crash. Like 30K is the resistance,
We're still
35K
there.
is the resistance, like 40K is the resistance, right? And they
Yeah.
just keep on moving their resistance point higher. uh
Yep. Yep. It feels like the disbelief phase. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
it
I would
almost
agree with that.
yeah, it almost seems to me like we could get a big pump, and then once everyone capitulates, all these people that are undeniers, everyone starts to chase the top, then we get a massive crash in this space.
That's possible, yes.
Okay. Well, so where can people go to learn more and stay on top of your updates and see what you're doing?
I'm most active on X. I'm at Rocket Fan there. And yeah, I also have like a website about sports assets, Web3 sports assets, which is rocket.fan.